Good morning, everybody. Let us wait for some time so that others can join. And my voice is audible to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so let us start our class today because I waited for 2, 3, 4 minutes, and those who have joined, we will start the class with them, and the rest of all, if they joined afterwards, they can join. So I am sharing the whiteboard. So if you have some confusion on anything, please tell me at the time. There will be no problem. Okay, so we have described about the signals and the systems. What do we mean by signal? What do we mean by systems? And we have defined what is a signal and what is a system and what is the use of discrete time signal, why it is called discrete, what is analog signal, how many types of analog signal, how to categorize analog signal, what is digital signal, how to get digital signal. These all the things, properties of DSP, why we use digital signal processing, all things we have discussed in the earlier 2 classes. Today we will go directly to our signal and system class, where we will talk about the different aspects of a discrete time signal, because we are dealing with the discrete time signal as well as the digital signal in digital signal processing. There is no concept of continuous time signal in digital signal processing. So we will consider that as far we know that today's class today is 26th, 10/21, and if we consider this fact that signal can be divided according to the characteristic, signal can be divided into two categories. One is called analog signal, another is called digital signal. This analog signal, according to its dependent of time, it has been categorized into two things. One is called CT signal or continuous time signal. Another called is DT signal, discrete time signal. According to the independent variable time, this analog signal can be differentiated into two categories. One is called continuous time signal, another is called discrete time signals. So this is very important for us. Now for digital signal processing, as continuous time signal has been sampled and it has been done to discrete time signals. So discrete time signals and digital signals will be in consideration for digital signal processing. As because if we get a discrete time signal and if we quantize this discrete time signal, if we quantize this digital signal, then we will get discrete quantize this discrete time signal, then we will get digital signal. Actually, we have to do quantization and then we have to do encoding. And after quantization and encoding, we will get a digital signal. So discrete time signal if it is quantized and coded, then we will get digital signal. So we will take consideration of the discrete time signal for digital signal processing, but we will not take consideration of continuous time signal. So from continuous time signal, how we get discrete time signal? If we sample the independent variable, that is time, if we sample the independent variable time such a way that using a sample hold circuit, that we will get the time into differentiation. That means we differentiate time with respect to x, then we will get the time is being differentiated into small intervals, and each intervals is represented by an index, and that index is known as n. That's why for discrete time signal, if we represent a discrete time signal, we will represent the discrete time signal at x of n. Whereas for continuous time signal, we will write x of a of t. That is for analog, I write. If you don't want to write, you cannot also omit that thing. You can write x of t. So if I get x of t and then we have to get x of n, we will sample the circuit, sample the signal. Sorry. So by sampling a continuous time signal, we will get a discrete time signal. This T is sampled. Actually, this T is sampled. So you have studied the sampling theorem in signal and system. So I don't want to repeat it again here in digital signal processing, because if I go to repeat that thing, I will have to do another chapter of sampling. But if you have some problem or if you have some doubt on this sampling theorem and all that things, I will give you the equations or the calculation of sampling whenever I will require in this digital signal processing. Or if you want to get another class, then I can take another class, special class for understanding the sample. Is it clear to everybody? Or I have to take another class of sampling?
Sir, it will be covered, sir. Few questions are there. Na?
Okay, thank you. Okay. Very sorry. So now let us go for the discrete time signal. Now, discrete time signals can be represented discrete time signals. So if I write xt is a continuous time signal, so let xt equals to a continuous time signal. Okay. So now discrete time signal, x of n into t can be represented as x of t for t equals to nt, where n lies between minus infinity to plus infinity, where t is called, where capital T is called sampling interval. So by this we can transfer a uniform sampling of a continuous time signal, and using the amplitudes of the sample to form a sequence, we will get the discrete time signals. Okay, so that is for the discrete time signals. Next we will go to the next page, where we will write something about representation of discrete time signal. So how we represent the discrete time signal? It can be represented into three ways. Number one is called functional representation. In functional representation, the signal is represented as a mathematical equation. Okay. How we will represent? Let us take a box. Okay. Now, let us represent x in such a way that is a function. So xn is equal to minus 0.5 when n equals to minus 2. Then xn equals to 1.0 when n equals to minus 1. Next, xn equals to, or all the time I don't want to write xn equals to, so I will rub this, equals to 1, 0 when n equals to minus 1, then equals to minus 1.0 when n equals to 0, equals to 0.6 when n equals to 1, equals to 1.2 or 1.2, not 1, equals to 1 when n equals to 2, and equals to 1.5 when n equals to 3. And another thing, it will be written equals to 0 for other n. For other n. Now, what does this mean? That means for n equals to minus 2, at the sampling index n equals to minus 2, it has a value of minus 0.5. At n equals to minus 1, that means this is the x-axis. This is the x-axis. And this is the y-axis. That means this is the time axis or sampling axis, and this is the amplitude axis. So at minus 2, it will have minus 0.5 as the amplitude. And at minus 1, it will have the value of 1. At 0, it has the value of minus 1. At n equals to 1, it has a value of 6.6, sorry. At n equals to 2, it has a value of 1. At n equals to 3, it has a value of 1.5, and 0 for other values of n. So this is the called functional representation of a discrete time signal. But what we understand is here by using a graphical representation. If you use the graphical representation, you will understand very clearly about this signal. So we will tell now the graphical representation of the signal. So if I graphically produce this signal, what will be looking like? So the signal will start from n equals to minus 2. So let us suppose this is minus 2. This is minus 1. This is 0. This is 1. This is 2. And this is 3. So I am representing the signal in a two-dimensional plot. So this is our n-axis, and this is our y-axis, means x of n, function of n. So here at minus 2, it has a value of 0.5. So it has a value of 0.5. This is minus 0.5. At 1, it has a value of 1. 1, it has a value of 1. So this is 1.0. Sorry, minus 1. At 0, it has a value of minus 1. That means this is positive for y-axis. This is negative for y-axis, 0.5. This is negative. So this is here, we get the value of -1 at 0. Next, at 1, it has a value of 0.6. So if it is 0.5, it will be tougher. So this is now just Zada. So this is 0.6. Next, it has a value of 1.1, sorry. At n equals to 2, it has a value of 1. So this is 1. And at n equals to 3, it has a value of 1.5. So if this is 1, this is 1.5. So this is the graphical representation of this discrete time signal. So now we can understand what does the signal look like. What does the signal look like? So functional representation, graphical representation. Another representation of the signal is called tabular representation. So how is tabular representation? As the name specified, it is taboo. You can write this functional representation such another way as a function. So you can write here x of n equals to, in third bracket, in second bracket, it will be minus 0.5, comma 1.0, comma minus 1.0, comma 0.6, 1, 1.5. So this is also the functional representation. But how you will provide that this is the value of this? So how you will represent that thing? You will represent by arrow. So what does the arrow mean? The arrows mean this is the 0th position of n. At n equals to 0, it will have the value of minus 1.0. So you can calculate if it is n equals to 0, this is n equals to minus 1, this is n equals to minus 2. So only arrow symbol will be given to 0th position. Only arrow symbol will be given to 0th position. There will be no things here. So this is also a functional representation. Xn is a function of this. Understand?
Yes, sir.
And the last one is called the tabular representation. The last one is called number 3. That is called tabular representation. So tabular representation is same as the functional representation. There will be table and you have to represent in the table. So like this, there will be the table. So for n equals to minus 2. N equals 2. So right here, n, and here xn. So -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Here you will put the values. That will be what? -0.5, 1.0, -1.0, 0.6, 1, and 1.5. So this is called the tabular representation. So I think everybody has been clear about these 3 types of representation of discrete time signals. It's very easy. So let us go to the next thing. Clear, everybody? Functional, graphical, tabular?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we are going to the next portion. In some books, I will tell you, that will give you confusion. Some books, this is called functional representation, and this is called, this one is called sequential representation. But I think there is 4th number sequential representation. But I think functional can be also represent that thing. So sequential and functional will be same. So I have given you only 3 types of representation, but some books will tell this is the functional representation and this is the sequential representation. So don't get confused. So now we will talk about some standard discrete time signal. Number A, impulse signal. What is the impulse signal? Impulse, as the name specified, it is the impulse. That means there is a initiation of impulse. There is an initiation of a pulse. That's why it is called impulse. Okay, I will tell you, this is a 2-period class. So after 10:20, this class will be ended. And I have also given another link for from 10:20 to 11:10. So please join after 10:20 to that link, or from 10:20, please join. So it is a 40-minute class, but the time is 50 minutes. So there will be a mismatch of 10 minutes. So please wait for 5 or 2 minutes and then join from 10:20 to the next class link. So I am clear about that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we are going to tell what is impulse. So impulse means it is a pulse. It is a pulse. Pulse is what? Pulse that we get, we have pulse, heartbeat. Heartbeat is a pulse. So heartbeat is continuous, but it is always giving a peak signal. So pulse signal is a peak signal. That means it is a amplitude is very high to the power infinity, but it is very less uh, continuous. That means for a very small instance of time, if I give a high amount of amplitude, that signal is called a pulse. Okay. Example. Whenever we want to trigger something, trigger a circuit or trigger anything, that time I give a pulse to the signal. Like whenever a man is dead or his pulse rate is not occurring, at that time we use a electric device to start his heartbeat. You have seen in TV or any other cinemas that they use a machine to start the heartbeat by mechanical. That what does that machine do? What does that electric machine do? It generates a pulse to the signal. It generates a pressure to the signal. But it is for very, very small time. If we continue that much amplitude signal for a long period of time, the device must worn out. So that's why we use here a pulse. Pulse is to trigger a circuit. For triggering a circuit, we need a maximum force. And that maximum amplitude force is given to the circuit for a very small amount of time. And that signal is called impulse signals or pulse. So understand the concept of impulse. Now let us see what is the impulse signal. If I draw it, you can understand. We represent the impulse signal such that it is like this. This is N, and this is represented as delta N. And this amplitude is infinity. If it is zero, it is infinity. So you can see at the zeroth position, that means these are -1, -2. If I take this is 1, 2, 3, dot, 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 like this, it will continuous signal. Then this impulse will be only affected for the time of n equals to 0. But that is not possible. Actually, that is not possible. We know. Actually, that is not possible. But if we think for a particular amount of time, that for a few seconds of time, I am giving a power of infinity, an amplitude of infinity I am pressing into the signal. And that's why it is called impulse. Impulse signal is used to trigger a circuit or trigger a machine or trigger any devices. But it is not a signal that is flowing on the time. It is only existence of this signal is only for a few seconds of time. And then it will be dissolved. That's why it is called impulse. So when it is called unit impulse, is what? When this infinity is equals to 1, that means amplitude of this signal is unit. that time it is called unit impulse. So if I represent the signal mathematically, then I will write for unit impulse delta n equals to 1 for n equals to 0 and equals to 0 for n not equals to 0. So that is the definition of unit impulse. Sorry. That means delta n equals to 1 for n equals to 0, n equals to 0 for n is not equals to 0. So only for the 0 time, only for the sampling index 0, that time I will get the amplitude of 1 for a particular type of signal. After that, there will be non-existence of the signal on the negative side also and also positive side also. And that type of signal is called our unit impulse. So it is clear, everybody, what is unit impulse?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just a second. I will just stop the share for 1 second. Give me the time. Please give me 2 minutes. Okay, let's go back to the white. So this is the unit impulse signal or the impulse signal. Our next standard signal is known as step signal. What is the step signal? As the name specified, the signal is step. So it is, what is step? Step is like short staircase. You will see it is, this is called step. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. That means it is a, after a peak, it is very, very plain. So this is called step. So like this signal is called a step signal. That means for a step signal, we can represent, it is represented as UN. Step signal is represented as UN. So I will write UN is equal to A for n greater than equals to 0 and equals to 0 for n less than 0. So that is the definition. That means if I draw the signal, if it is 0, if this is UN, and if this is n, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it will have the same value. It will have the same value. And what is the value? And A, an arbitrary constant A. Let us suppose this is A. At 0, it has also have the same value. So all the time it will give the value of A. That means the amplitude will be fixed throughout all the values of n when n is greater than equals to 0. That means 0 to infinity, it will give you 0 to plus infinity, it will give you the same amplitude. That's why it is called our step signal. It is a step, plain step, and that will not be changed. Understand?